Well, the home winning streak survives for Clemson. They beat Syracuse 27-21. It was a matchup of undefeated teams. 6-0 Syracuse versus then 7-0 Clemson, now 8-0 Clemson. This was a pretty awful game for the Tigers, not going to lie. They pulled out in the end. They were tremendous down the stretch, 17 points in the fourth quarter. Defense did not allow Syracuse to score at all in the second half. And frankly, the defense only gave up 14 points because Syracuse had a fumble recovery they took back for a touchdown. So the defense played fairly well. They did struggle a little bit early. I was kind of surprised that Wes Goodwin's unit didn't have or wasn't as prepared for Garrett Schrader's running ability as I thought they should have been. They struggled with that a little bit early in the game, but eventually kind of figured it out. And that seems to be the case. They kind of happened in Wake Forest too. Not necessarily with the rushing ability, but the defensive line kind of started slow and then worked its way into the game and became more potent as the game went on. And we've seen that as a trend this year in a couple of games, and it certainly was the case here. The defense ultimately ended up winning the game for Clemson with an interception to stop Syracuse on their final drive of the game. Shout out to R.J. Mickens for that turnover. So some good things for defense for sure. I mean, Myles Murphy had a pretty decent day, although he did commit 2 penalties, which is kind of uncharacteristic for him. So a little bit unfortunate there, especially, but one was at the start of the game, a 15-yard face mask. So it wasn't like that was too impactful early on in the game. But he did have 2 penalties. There were some issues up front. Like I said, they didn't get pressure for most of the first half, but things started to click in the second half. So credit them for that. And like I said, overall, the defense really didn't have a bad day statistically. I know I'm going to mess up this last name for sure. Gadsden had a pretty good day. His father's a former NFL player. He's kind of like a tight end wide receiver hybrid player who's actually been really good this year. He's had quite a few impressive performances already. And we knew he was going to do well today. He got 6 receptions for 86 yards. I consider that within the realm of acceptable for Clemson's defense, considering he was really the engine of this passing offense. I mean, he had over half of their total receiving yards. So I think that's a pretty solid number to hold him to. Sean Tucker, just 5 carries all game. We literally deterred Syracuse from running the ball with Sean Tucker at all. 5 carries, he did have 54 yards. So he had a pretty good average on those carries with a long 23. But we basically forced him to just run with Garrett Schrader and not run with Sean Tucker at all. So I think that's a pretty good indication of how well respected this Clemson defensive front was. And for the most part today, they had a good game. There were some penalty issues. There were some issues getting pressure early on. There were some issues stopping Schrader from running early on. But overall, I would call it a good day for the defense. On the other side of things, oh my gosh, the offense. I can't say because I don't curse in this channel because I try to keep it as friendly for everyone as possible. But it was a something show. I mean, it really was not, it was about as bad as it could have been. Obviously, we're going to talk about DJ Uiagalelei. We're going to talk about the Will Shipley fumble. We need to talk about Blake Miller at right tackle because we know Blake Miller is a very talented player but has struggled mightily in the season. Committed 2 more penalties today. And at some point, you just wonder, yeah, he's very talented, but he's got to figure this stuff out. He's got to figure it out before the playoff season, before the postseason comes around. Because he can't be committing some of the dumb penalties he makes consistently on a week-to-week basis. But DJ Uiagalelei, obviously his worst game this season, looked a lot like he did last year. Just mentally not there today. 13 for 21, 138 yards and 2 interceptions, and he got benched. The 1 interception cost them what could have been a field goal. They would have at least had a shot to take a field goal. The second interception was an awful overthrow, and after that, he got benched. But he overthrew the receiver who was fairly wide open in the middle of the field, about maybe 5 yards over his head and went right to the safety. It was a turnover. And Clemson had some momentum or had the opportunity to build momentum at the time, and DJ with the turnover kind of killed it. And Clemson ultimately did end up getting that momentum back just when Cade Klubnik came into the game and took over the offense, and the game plan became more conservative offensively and subsequently had fewer turnovers and mistakes. DJ also had a fumble on the goal line that Syracuse took back for a touchdown with 90-something yards. 98 yards, I think, was the official number. So that was a huge swing. That was a 14-point swing if Clemson would have scored a touchdown there. And ultimately, that was the play that kind of kept Syracuse in this game because they really were not scoring a lot offensively. We're not doing a lot offensively and didn't do anything in the second half at all. So that play by DJ really kept them in the game. And frankly, DJ's play overall kept them in the game. You're talking about taking away a field goal opportunity just through an interception. You're talking about taking away a touchdown opportunity and giving Syracuse 7 points because you fumbled a football. And they put Syracuse in pretty good field position with the second interception. Just nothing came of it. So overall, DJ Uiagalelei did not have it today. Pocket awareness was an issue. He really was not sensing pressure that much, and he frankly was holding onto the ball too long. He was getting stuck in his reads, and for some reason staring down guys instead of looking for checkdowns or looking for across the entire field. He had an opportunity to hit Randall wide open. He put on an epic move. Randall was wide open, 5 yards of separation easily, running vertically downfield, and he got to him late, and he waited too long. He threw the ball at the point where the safety was already getting over there. The cornerback was already back in the play, and they were running out of sideline to use, and Randall ended up not getting the ball in that situation. It ended up being a broken up pass, and what it could have been, or what should have been, a 20-plus yard play. I think he missed a couple of guys open downfield several times. He also had one terrible throw on maybe the first or second drive of the game where he basically threw the ball into the dirt where he had checked down up at the top of the field, or top of the screen if you were watching it, to the running back. That would have been easy 5 or 6 yards. So overall, it's a really awful game. Ball placement, not good. Anticipation was not good. Pocket awareness was not there. Ball security, I mean, fumbles are kind of fluky. I don't really blame him that much for that. But in terms of passing ball security, definitely was not there either. He needed to be benched. Benching him was the right move to get this team to play better today, and win the game. Clemson needed to call in a Hail Mary. That Hail Mary was Cade Klubnik, who did not play particularly well. He did not play well. 2 for 4 for 19 yards. The most conservative game plan you will see by an undefeated team that's competing for a spot in the college football playoff. The most conservative game plan ever, because they didn't want to have him make mistakes. And he made a couple mistakes while he was out there. I want to be quite clear. DJ is going to be the starter for Clemson in their next game. And it's going to be the starter for the rest of the season. Because Cade Klubnik has not done anything outside that Georgia Tech game and maybe one other drive the rest of the year that make me think he's better than DJ Uiagalelei. He is not. He was not better. And he was better today, but he really wasn't even given any of the chances DJ was given. DJ had the green light to throw the ball downfield. Cade does not have the green light to go and create stuff. The one time he did, we didn't get a pass interference call, which was crucial for the game, but it was the one time he really went downfield. Cade is not trusted to have the green light to make those throws. He is not trusted to run this offense with the starters. He is not trusted to do that in situations where we do not have the lead or where we're competing from behind. Usually, he was given the keys to the car today in a sense because he was out to run the offense, but even then, Clemson had 60 total rushing attempts, according to ESPN. And Cade Klubnik threw the ball 4 times. We were not winning on the back of his arm. That was not the game plan. The game plan was put him in and just run and give DJ a break because DJ was making mistakes. This was more of a factor to take away and give DJ a breather and let him kind of mentally reset and not have him, because again, he was making all the wrong decisions, even as far as his reads for when to hand the ball off and when to run himself. He was making poor decisions there. He needed to be benched. But Cade is not a long-term answer. Well, for this season at least. In the future, certainly, but not right now. I'm not saying he's not talented, but damn, is he not ready for this? He is not ready to be a player to go out and start and make all the big-time throws. This is not Trevor Lawrence replacing Kelly Bryant. This is not that. And Dabo even said immediately in his post-game post-game interview on the field that DJ is their guy moving forward. And he should be, because he has experienced this before. He's been playing well this season, and Cade's just not trusted, not ready for this moment. So I agree that DJ should be the quarterback going forward. Cade is not ready for this yet. He will be in the future, and I certainly believe he has talent, but he's not the guy who will lead this team to the college football playoff, if you understand what I'm saying. And DJ has time now, because I believe we have a bye week next week, to kind of get his head around and get everything fixed, because mentally he was not there today. But yeah, now that we're through that portion, I know that's kind of negative, I'm sorry about that, but we had to talk about it. Props to Will Shipley. He had that one fumble. He got benched for a little. Not benched for a little. I got to sit on the sideline. Dabo talked to him for a little while after that. Props to him for bouncing back and having that huge 50-yard touchdown run. You know, he's usually pretty secure with the football. One fumble, like I said, fumbles are kind of fluky. It just felt like everything was going wrong for Clemson at the point in time. But Will Shipley rebounded 27 carries, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They needed him to show up today, and he did. Also, shout out to Phil Mafah, 18 carries for 94 yards and a touchdown. He had a good game as well. So the running backs really saved the day, I think. We did have some decent plays. I think Antonio Williams had a couple of good, nice plays. Davis Allen had a drop, I know, but I had a couple of good plays as well. Same with Ngata I believe Ngata was the one who caught the 2-point conversion. So we did have some very good plays. We had some good plays from our safeties and pass catchers. Not a great day for them, though, because obviously our quarterbacks weren't moving the ball at all. So Only so much you can say about that. The defense, I don't have any stats. I kind of mentioned a few guys already. Shout out to Archie Mickens, for that nice interception at the end there to really end the game. You could see he read that play the whole way, had it all lined up. So really, tremendous defensive play by him to end the game and secure the win. Brian Berziano had a really good play where he blew up a run play. I think it was on I forget, it was the third or fourth down play, but he blew it up and it was just a phenomenal play by him. I know KJ Henry got in there for a big sack on the final drive. I know Murphy flashed occasionally. Rook Aroro had 2 passes defensed. So there were good moments for this team today on defensively. And like I said, defense was not the issue. It was the 4 turnovers by the offense that were really the problem. And we look at total yards. Clemson had 449 total yards of offense. Syracuse only had 291. This should have been, I won't call it a runaway win for Clemson, but it should have been a multiple score win for the Tigers. They just blew it with turnovers and poor ball security and frankly just being undisciplined. And a lot of that falls on DJ. I think some of it falls on the offensive coordinator, Brandon Streeter, for some very questionable play calling at different points in this game that did not put his players in position to succeed. Frankly, when we had to go down to this really shrunk playbook and just playing a really conservative style of offense to make sure that we protected Cade from himself and his own decision-making, not expose him too much that he wasn't ready for. At that point in time, things started to actually click a little bit more because we just had to run the ball. And we got rid of some of the fluky stuff that Streeter will run that just doesn't make a lot of sense. And like I said, I also would point to Wes Goodwin and say that this defense did not start hot today. He needs to do a better job getting them prepared for those moments to start and play full games. So the defense has been a little bit touch and go there at points this year. Some coordinators and Dabo as well as the coach of the coaching staff need to do better than what we had today. But I'm just happy to escape with a win. So Clemson 8-0 now in the season. The home win streak is alive. I would expect us to probably drop a little bit in the AP poll. I mean, right behind us. We're number 5 right now. Alabama's directly behind us. Then it's Ole Miss, who's undefeated. Then TCU is undefeated. Then UCLA is undefeated, is at 9. And Oregon, who's playing UCLA, is 5-1 at 10. So whoever wins that game will have a good shot to jump us in the ranking. Who knows what will happen with Bama, Ole Miss, TCU, who knows. We're probably going to fall a spot or 2. I do want to point out this was a pretty good Syracuse team that was ranked 14th in the nation, so it's not like we should drop too much. But we probably will drop a few spots, even though we won this game. I would be stunned if we moved up, because we did not play like a top 5 team in the country today. But hey, the committee's weird, and frankly, none of this matters until we get to the college football playoff rankings anyways. So, as cool as it is to be ranked high at this point, doesn't really matter for a few more weeks. But I'm going to end this here. It's already been 13 minutes of me talking, and here's to the offense getting back on track another week.